Harbour, honey. Can you hear me? Everyone can hear me? Hi, everyone on YouTube world. I'm just getting started. So bear with me as we get some more peeps in the room for the Q&A. Looks good? Okay. I'll give it 1 more minute and then I'll start the intro. Okay, so I'm doing this. Hi, I'm doing it on YouTube and Instagram at the same time. So if you see me look away, that's why. I'm not ignoring you. Okay. Okay, good. Okay, so I'll start, I guess. So I am Amanda, and I am the owner and the creator for Dubbele Dutch Crafts. I wanted to start this Thrummed Mitten KAL knit along using my pattern, and also use Ravelry and everything to do the KAL with, because I'm a knitter first of all, and I'm also, for Dubbele Dutch, I also sew and make project bags and also write patterns, knitting patterns and stuff. Yeah, I've been knitting for probably about 15 years. About 10 years have been like on the serious side, if you want to call it. I wouldn't say I'm like serious knitter, but yeah, so I've designed about 12 to 13 knit patterns that you can find in my Ravelry shop. And yeah, so I first started knitting Thrummed Mittens about 8 years ago, and I had a lot of requests for people asking if I had a pattern for my Thrummed Mittens, because I kind of just like knitted my mittens as I did, and like I didn't really have a pattern, and I just added and learned how to thrum as I did them. So it was kind of overwhelming when people were asking me for a pattern because I've never written one before. So I started out writing patterns for like hats and just simple things like scarves and stuff, just to get my feet wet. And then I decided to knit or write up the Thrummed Mitten mitten pattern that I was using. So I had all these scraps from all my notebooks, so I kind of collaborated them all, and then I just knitted a pair of mittens and then wrote it down as I did it. So I released my first Thrummed Mitten pattern about 2 or 3 years ago, and then last year I released the kids size classic Thrummed Mittens. So that's just a little history on me and knitting and my patterns. So I just wanted to go over the knit along details of the knit along for the Thrummed Mittens. So the dates are October 1st to December 1st. This October 1st is like the official start date that we're all going to cast on together. I kind of gave you about 2 weeks from when I first announced the KAL to get your materials together, buy your supplies and everything for the KAL. So we still have about 5 days left or so, 5 or 6 days to get those supplies ready for the KAL. Yes, Harbour Honey is my sister, and she will be answering questions as we go along as well. Those that she can't answer, I will answer live on here. So, yeah, so the supplies and everything are in the pattern. You just have to purchase the pattern on Ravelry, and it's the classic Thrummed Mitten pattern and the kids classic Thrummed Mittens. So once you've downloaded the pattern, I have a list of everything that you will need to knit the pattern, and quantities and everything. So if you haven't downloaded the pattern yet, go ahead and do that on Ravelry. The pattern is 20% off until October 1st. So use the code TMKAL 2020. So that's Thrummed Mitten KAL 2020. So I'll just write that in the comments so you get that. And so that's the coupon code there. So so my sister is just posting where to get the mittens. So I made the mittens. Thank you for the question, Pearls in Petite. You might want to do a gauge swatch for all my patterns, just to make sure that they're going to be, that everything matches up to what my gauge was. So the width is my hand, which is pretty big, and then I've also condensed them a bit so that they have room to grow, because wool will bloom and get bigger, so they will be a little tight. So when you do try them on, they might feel tight, but they will get bigger as you wear them. They will bloom a little, and you can knit them as long as you want. So the pattern has all the details in there to make them longer or shorter, but I've knit them in all different lengths. So it's really easy to add on an inch or two, and it'll tell you exactly to try them on, and then it'll tell you like how much more you need to knit to make them a certain length. So it's all in the pattern. Don't be worried. And the width seems to be quite universal for all hand sizes. So the answer to your question for how long and wide are the adult mittens. It's pretty customizable. You'll see when we start knitting them. But a gauge swatch is always a good idea. So for the patterns, yeah, so the kids and then the adults, they all have adjustable sizes. They're all customizable. They all have the exact, well, not exact, but kind of a gauge of how much supplies you'll need for each mitten size. So the KAL will go until December 1st. That's the cutoff date. And I've made an FO thread, which is finished object thread. And once you have finished one pair of mittens or one set of mittens, you can take a picture and then post them in the FO thread. And then I will know that you have completed one pair and that your name will be put into the draw at the end on December 4th when I draw the names. But you have to have your pictures and everything submitted by December 1st at midnight. So all those details are in the Ravelry thread when you sign up. So you'll get the full details from there. And to be eligible to win a prize in the draw, you have to be using my classic Thrummed Mitten pattern or the kids classic Thrummed Mitten pattern. That's all I ask, is that you just support my Ravelry and my mittens, and yeah, so, and that you knit one pair of mittens. So the KAL, the knit along is just all of us knitting along, knitting the same pattern. I've created a thread, so when you sign up, you post your materials or your project page link, and once we've got everyone in there and started, we can start chatting about the pattern. If we have any issues, we can go in there and answer those questions and together as a knit community. I didn't really design the KAL for me to be teaching any of the techniques or anything, but I did include tutorial videos in the pattern. So if you do get stuck, there are some little tidbits of advice in there for you guys. Yeah, so I just wanted to go over prizes. So like I said before, in order to be in the draw to win a prize, you have to have finished one set of mittens or a pair of mittens. You can, if you've done more than one pair of mittens, feel free to also put those in there in a separate thread, in a separate like reply. So I know how many times to write your name and put it into the draw. So there's going to be 4 prizes, and I've got some generous sponsors, and they are Stash Needle Art Lounge. They have helped out and are going to donate a prize for the draw in December. And then Yarn Twisters in Calgary, they have also submitted a prize, and I picked that up yesterday. So the prize is a pattern, some yarn, and some wool soak. So that will be one of the prizes that I'll draw for in December. And then another sponsor, a kind donation from Lily Pine Fiber. She's also based in Calgary. She is an indie dyer. She does awesome fiber and yarn, and she also sells like spinning wheels on her website. She has also donated a prize, and I'm really excited about this one. So she donated a full kit, a Thrummed Mitten kit. So the winner will, if you finish a pair of mittens, you can knit another pair. I love her colors. They're awesome. I use her Roving for most of my Thrummed mittens just because the colors are so awesome and on point for me. Yeah, so, and then the 4th sponsor is myself. So I will also be donating a prize. I'm hoping to put that together this week. I haven't decided yet what it will be, so it'll be fun surprise for you guys. So I don't know if I showed Instagram. This is the prize from Yarn Twisters. It's a pattern, some yarn, and then wool soak. And the pattern is written by Lisa, who works at Yarn Twisters, who owns Yarn Twisters. So that's a pretty unique prize. And I still have to pick up the prize from Stash. So we'll see what we get from them. Yes, prizes are awesome. I am so grateful for the sponsors that help donate prizes for this. And I'm really jealous of whoever's going to win them. I wish I could win them. So yeah, so those are the prizes, the sponsors, a bit about the KAL. I wanted to make this kind of like a knit at your own pace, no pressure to get anything done, but you do have 2 months, so it's going to be quite a bit of time to get a pair of mittens done. I can personally knit a pair of Thrummed mittens in 6 to 8 days. It takes me to get supplies, to get the thrums ready, and to knit both mittens. So if I can do it in 8 days, you guys can do it in 2 months. So I think it's a generous amount of time. Yeah, I just picked up some Roving from Lily Pine yesterday. I got 2 new ones. Beautiful colors. I can't wait to use them. Right now, she has Thrummed Mitten kits on her website. If you do not have your supplies yet, she has awesome kits. So it's kind of similar to this one here. So you get the Roving and the yarn to make the mittens. You just need your needles. So you can check out Lily Pine. She has, I think, a couple left. So you gotta get on that quick if you want a kit from her. So a question from Karen. Do you know roughly how many thrums you need per mitt for an average adult? So in the pattern, in my pattern, I have an average amount of thrums that you need. It's about 120 for the average hand size per mitt. So it's going to be 240, 250 thrums, including the thumb. So it's quite a few, but you can do it. Where will the knit along be? On YouTube and Instagram. Will it be pre-recorded videos? The knit along will be on Ravelry. We won't be like knitting together at any point unless I schedule like a Zoom meeting that we can all come in and knit together. But I don't have anything scheduled yet. So the knit along will be on Ravelry, and you can post your photos and your questions on the thread. Any more questions? So the videos that are in the pattern, the tutorial videos, are pre-recorded. So you can go back and watch them as many times as you want. They're on my YouTube channel. And there's also some more videos on my YouTube channel that you might find interesting in helping with your mittens or knitting. So just waiting for, okay, so I have a question from Karen. Do you have a preference on which 100% worsted wool is better? I've been using Cascade 220. It is 100% Peruvian wool. I love it. It's soft enough that it's not like when you wear your mittens, it's not that scratchy wool feeling. It's got the superwash feel to it. But yes, Cascade 220 is my favorite go-to Thrummed Mitten yarn for a worsted. And it's really affordable too. So Stash Lounge sells Cascade 220 in all the colors of the rainbow, and also Yarn Twister sells it. So you can pick up your favorite colors from them. And then I've got a question. So also 6 inches or 8 inch, I'm assuming DPNs, does it matter? So I started out knitting my mittens on 8 inch DPNs, double pointed needles. I found that they got in the way because they were too long. So I switched to 6 inch DPNs just so that I could knit faster. So if I recommend the 8 inch if you're a beginner with thrumming and with using double pointed needles, just because it gives you a little more extra room on the needle to move around and to use the needles the way that they're intended. If you have used double pointed needles before, I would recommend the 6 inch just because it's easier to maneuver and work with. So hope that answers your question. Yarn Monkey rides again. Yes, that's a really common question, is if you can knit them, the mittens, in magic loop. And you for sure can. I teach, or I taught at Stash Needle Lounge, the Thrummed Mitten class there. And I had one student who was really keen on the magic loop, and she knit her both pair mittens on magic loop. So you just need to make sure you have a long enough cord for the magic loop. You need room for your thumb gusset, because there will be a thumb gusset in these mittens, and also for your thrums. So yes, magic loop you can do. Good question, Karen. Thank you. And while we're waiting for other questions to come up, I just wrote down a couple from Instagram that I had asked earlier in the week for those who can't make the video today. So for one question is, where do I find the roving materials for Thrummed Mittens? So I mentioned Lily and Pine. She has lots of, well, she has kind of, she custom dyes her colorways, so she has a few left, and then she has the kits. I also use the, it's called the Dwiddlebug Fiber Emporium. I got this from Stash Needle Lounge. They have like every color of the rainbow, and it's pretty affordable too. So this is 100% merino, and you can get that at Stash. And then also Yarn Twisters has a few braids. I think they had Malabrigo when I was there, and a couple of Lily and Pine braids at Yarn Twisters if you're interested in those for materials. And then I have a question over here from Casey. Is superwash yarn okay to use? As long as you have 100% merino roving, I think you can get away with the superwash yarn. The problem with the superwash is it has a coating on the yarn. It's almost like a plastic, and it doesn't use the same like Velcro as a 100% wool would, so it doesn't grab the roving like the wool would. But because the wool is 100% merino, it will felt, and then it'll stay better in with the superwash yarn. So when you insert your 100% roving using your superwash yarn, your thrums into the yarn, it'll felt inside, so it'll stay. But I would not recommend using a superwash roving and a superwash yarn together, because they'll just slide off, and the rovings, the little thrums that you put in to your mittens, will eventually just slide out. So you want to have something that felts inside the mitt to stay inside. So I hope that answers your question, Casey, for the superwash yarn. So I would say like one or the other, but to make the thrums last and stay inside the mitt, 100% merino wool is best for the roving, for the thrums. Okay, so another question I had was the magic loop or the circular needles for the project, and yes, you can use those. I answered Karen's question about that, so yes, for sure. If you're more comfortable using the magic loop, for sure do it. Another question on Instagram. Do we make the gauge swatch with the roving? The gauge swatch is measured between the thrums, so no, you don't have to do, if you want to practice doing the thrumming and doing a gauge swatch and thrum, for sure do that. I recommend like just getting as much practice as you can thrumming. But the gauge that I measured in the pattern is not measured with the thrums. So no, you can just knit a swatch with your yarn. And if you're using Cascade 220, you will have enough to make a swatch for your mittens. Yeah, no problem, Casey. So I hope that answers your question. Good question. So another question is, being new to thrumming, what would you say is the most common mistake? The most common mistake I saw with my students in my class was how they knitted the thrum into the mitten. So it's kind of like a 3-step process, and it can get confusing if you don't practice. So watch the video and make sure that your heart is, when you're finished doing your thrum, that you have a complete heart shape and not like one leg shorter than the other. So for example, I have a mitten here. So you want to make sure you have that complete heart shape. So in class, I had some students would have like one side would be really, really puffy, and then the other side would be really thin. So the leg on either right or left would be thicker than the other side, and that's the first sign that you're doing the thrumming wrong. So if you watch the video and you practice and you've got this heart shape down, then you're good. If you have concerns or anything about it, just let me know and I can walk you through the steps to thrumming. But that was the most common mistake, was just like getting that heart shape, like the perfect heart. And I could pick it up right away in class. So another question from Karen. Karen, you're full of awesome questions. So her question was, what is the best way to care for your thrum mittens? So I get that question a lot in class as well. So for your thrum mittens, they are 100% wool. So you do not want to put them in the washing machine, because all these little roving bits that you've carefully placed while knitting, if you flip it this way and throw it in the washer, all those little bits will get fused together and you will not be able to get your hand back into the mitten, because it'll be like felted together. So you'll just have like a felted oven or a pot holder when you wash it in the washing machine. So the best way is to just do a spot clean. So just grab like a rag or a little bit of water and just kind of like wash the area that you need cleaned. If it's like the whole mitt that's dirty, like you've spilt your whole cup of coffee on it or something, you could just do a hand wash, hand soak, like you would do for like a shawl or a toque that you've made. So you just kind of put it in like a lukewarm water with wool soak and just kind of let it sit and soak for a bit. And then when you take it out, just kind of gently wring out the water. And then you can just lay them flat to dry, because you do not want to felt the inside together, like I said before. And then also when you're done and they start going all like fuzzy, you can just grab a pair of like those embroidery really sharp scissors and just kind of trim the little flaps up. You don't want to use like the pill shaver, because that will rip the roving right out of your mitts. So you just want to kind of like trim up the little bits that come fuzzy. That's just a couple tips to keep your mittens looking good after you've made them. I'm just reading questions for. Okay. Okay. So we're going to go back to my questions that I had from my Instagram this week. So another question I had was, have you ever knit 2 mittens at once? And yes, I have tried it on Magic Loop. I knitted a pair of adult size mittens 2 at a time on Magic Loop, and it was so overwhelming and stressful that I had to take one off and then just put everything back on double pointed needles and knit them one at a time. I started it thinking, yeah, I'm gonna do this twice as fast. I'm gonna get a pair of mittens done in like half the time, but it actually felt like it was taking longer because I had to thrum when I was thrumming the other mittens. So I was doing double thrumming, and I just got so frustrated I took them off. But it is possible, you can do it. I just don't recommend it. If you want your mittens to take, if you want to be frustrated, then by all means knit them both at the same time. But if you do it, then awesome, you can do it. All right, so I'm just taking questions if anyone has, and the people that are joining in. Just ask your questions, and my sister Harbor Honey will, or Bees and Bikinis on YouTube, will relay the questions back to me as I'm talking. So anyways, another question is, can we use past Thrummed Mitten projects for the KAL? I'm going to say no for that one, because I'm not sure if you used my pattern or not. I could probably tell, but I'm going to say let's start fresh with a new pair of mittens, just so everyone is on the same kind of level and everyone's starting at the same time, and then it'll help with the prizes and the prize and the draw at the end. So yeah, so it'd be great if you could just, it's okay if you have supplies for Thrummed mittens that you've bought in the past, but if you could use my pattern and start a new project on October 1st, that would be awesome. A question from Karen: would it be better to use wooden or bamboo needles or metal? So for the question from Karen was if it's better to use wood, bamboo, or metal double pointed needles. And good question. I brought me needles. I've used both. So when I taught the class, we used metal needles. And if you've used double pointed before, yes, use the metal ones. They are really great to work with. They're fast, they're pointy, they slide nice. These ones are their carbon needles. They have a metal tip and then a carbon middle. So the carbon is actually really grippy, so it'll hold your stitches on there. And then the metal is awesome for like inserting the thrums and knitting just a regular knit stitch. So those are good for them, for people who have used double pointed and are good at knitting with double pointed needles. If you're kind of a beginner, I would suggest the wooden or bamboo ones. I used these ones. These are the Likey driftwood double pointed 6-inch ones. I use these ones a lot too. I've been using these ones more just because I've been like on the go and traveling, so they don't slide off my needles as much. So yeah, it's your preference. If you like working with metal, then go ahead. If you like working with wood, then by all means use wood. But I recommend using wood if you're a beginner and metal if you've used double pointed before. Okay. So any more questions on this side? Okay. Yes. So I answered that question. Okay. So a question I had this week was she's tried knitting Thrummed mittens before, and she commented that Thrummed mittens can be a bit tedious. Any tricks for making and knitting them more quickly? So this is for the general just knitting Thrummed mittens. Some tips I have for knitting them quickly and making the process of making thrums a little more enjoyable. So what I do is I make all my thrums before I knit my mittens or even cast on my mittens. So what I do is I have a custom order, and I am knitting a pair of those rainbow mittens that you've probably seen in my promotions. So I have to decide how many rows of colors I want in my mittens. So if I want to do the rainbow, I have to have like 5 rows of color changes, and then of each color I need 10. So I plan out and make my thrums before. So today I started making my thrums, and I keep them all in like a Ziploc bag, just like a regular Ziploc. So all my finished thrums in there. And then what I do is I make the thrums, and then I bundle them into groups of 10. So this is a group of 10 thrums. So that's a color there. There's another bundle color there. And then I'll be making another bundle with this color here. So I'll be making like 20 bundles, and then I'll go back and I'll label them as like first row of color. So I'll put 1, 2, 3, so I know what bundle comes next when I'm knitting the mittens. So so it's to make it easier and less tedious, I make all my thrums before, and then I just make sure I'm following the pattern and making sure I put them in when they're supposed to go in, and I'm just taking my time. I'm not rushing through it. It's not a race to knit as many mittens as you can. It's just to say that you've knit a pair of thrum mittens and you've completed a pair, and that's the prize really in the end. So just take your time. Don't rush it. If you're really sick of making them, then I would start with making about 30 thrums. So 3 rows of thrums to start with. So yeah, those are my tips for making thrums. So, and then also when you make them all before, you start to get the hang of it, and you finally get into your groove, and you figure out what size thrum you like. So when I make them, I've got a gauge, and then I go with that gauge of thrum that I've made, and then I just continue making them until they're all done. And then when you go to knit them into your mitten, you're all set, you're prepared, you're ready. So it's just about knitting them and then knitting them into your mitten. So it's really, I find it really helpful to have them all done before. And it's also encouraging because you see all your thrums that you've made, and you're like, I'm going to make mittens, and I'm going to put these warm fuzzy roving bits into them, and it's like really exciting because you get to see the colors change, and yeah, so definitely get them all done before. And that's my answer to making thrums and making them more quickly. It's not fast. It's not a fast craft. I'll tell you that. It's a slow craft. That's why 2 months is ample enough to get your mittens done. And then, do I have any questions online? Okay. What are the okay? I've got a question here from Amy. How do we enter the contest once our mittens are done? So if you're on Ravelry and you have signed up in the sign up thread, there is another thread, and it's called FO, which stands for Finished Objects thread. And to enter the contest or to enter the draw for the prize, you just have to post your picture of your finished mittens or the link to your project on Ravelry saying that you've completed it, and then have a picture of both mittens so I can see that you've finished both mittens. and they're complete, and you're entered into the draw to win the prizes or the contest. It's not really a contest. It's just an extra bonus. So if you finish your mittens, then you might win a prize. So it's kind of fun. So that's how you enter. Yeah. So make sure you have a Ravelry account. So yeah. I have the link there in the comments if you want to sign up in the thread. For sure, sign up. If you don't have an account, it's free. You can make an account on Ravelry and sign up and make your project page. It's an awesome resource for knitters if you've never heard of Ravelry before. So are there different prizes or one big prize? There are going to be 4 prizes, 4 separate prizes. So if someone enters, your name will be put into the draw to win one of the 4 prizes. So if you have knitted like mittens for your entire family and you've knitted like 8 pairs, your name will be put into the draw for the 4 prizes 8 times. But if you've won a prize, then the rest of your ballots will come out. So you can't win all 4 prizes. You can only win 1 prize, but you'll have 8 of your name, 8 chances to win one of the prizes. So that makes sense. So yeah. So 4 prizes, 1 winner per prize. So 4 different winners. Question: who can I pay to make my thrums? I've been asked to make thrums for my students, and I say no because it's not. I want you guys to learn how to make your own thrums so that you can make future thrum mittens. But if you find someone that will make your thrums, then go for it. You just have to make sure you knit them. Knit those mittens and use those thrums. But yeah, make the thrums. It's after you get in the zone of making like 30 thrums, you start to get into this zone and you know exactly what weight of roving, what thrum you like, and then you're just you're just on this train of a thrum making train. I like to call it a thrum party. So I'll just put on a movie and just make all my thrums at once. It takes me about 45 minutes to make 100 thrums, but I've done it for 8 years, so it'll take you a little longer, but you'll get it. Any more questions for this Q&A? Been having some really good questions. Yep. Looks like we're all questioned out. So I'll just go over quickly for those who may have missed it. Yeah, put on a movie, pour a glass of wine, and just thrum it up. It's fun. It really is. Or you can like Zoom with your friends, have a little movie night and thrum it. So just go over quickly. You'll need roving, 60 to 80 grams of roving. I find that one of these braids, I have a lot left over. So you could probably make an adult size and maybe a kid size mitten out of one braid. You'll need, this is 115 grams. So for one mitten, you'll need 60 to 80 grams. And then for yarn, I use 200 yards for worsted weight yarn. So for one pair of mittens, I use about 200 yards. So I have about 30 to 20 yards left from the Cascade 220. And the needles are a 3.5 millimeter or a 4 US double pointed needle or a circular. Make sure you, if you're a tight knitter, do a gauge swatch. If you know that you're a really loose knitter, also do a gauge swatch. And then what I say to my students is, if you're tight, go up a needle size, so bigger. And if you're really, really loose, go down a needle size. So that'll help you with your gauge and knitting. So in the video or in my pattern, I have video tutorials. It'll show you how to make thrums. It'll show you how to thrum. And I also included one in there for the thumb gusset and how to pick up your thumb gusset and make your thumb gusset. So it's really detailed. I think you'll like the tutorials in there, and they're all in my YouTube channel. You can watch them right now if you want. Yes, thank you. Thank you. My sister is doing a really good job. Thank you, sister. She's not a knitter, so this is like blowing my mind. Okay. So the pattern is knit from bottom up. So you'll be working on the cuff, and then you'll start knitting this part of the mitt, and then you'll start your thumb, and then you'll finish off the top of your mitt. So you'll be starting cuff and then working your way up. There is a thumb gusset in this pattern, so you will need stitch markers to mark your gusset. And then you'll also need stitch markers for the top of the mitten. There's a fancy decrease that shapes the top. So you'll need the stitch markers, about 4 or 5 stitch markers. So those are the materials you'll need. Yes. So if you're joining the KAL, the knit along, sign up on Ravelry this week before October 1st. Another question I had was if you could join after October 1st, because I know a lot of people might be still ordering supplies or waiting for their order to ship in the mail. So yes, you can start the project after October 1st, no problem. We don't have like a specific cast on party or anything. So just make sure that you go into Ravelry and you make your project, maybe link like your supplies where you're getting them from, and then just post the link in the thread, or just in the thread say I'm participating, just waiting for my yarn, my materials to show up. So yeah, you can definitely cast on later than October 1st. That's just the start date that I picked. But make sure you get your name on the sign up before October 1st so that I know that you're participating. And then also make sure you download the pattern before October 1st because of the 20% off discount. So that's TMKAL 2020 for the discount code on Ravelry. And that works for the kids and the classic adult Thrummed Mitten pattern. I went on Ravelry this morning and there was over 30 people that had purchased the pattern, and right now I've got about 10 to 12 people signed up in the thread. So if those other 15 are kind of on the fence, I hope this video kind of helps you decide on whether you want to join the KAL or not. There's no pressure at all. You can knit at your own pace. There's no deadlines for like certain parts of the pattern to be done. It's not like a mystery knit along where you have to have certain parts finished by a certain time. You can knit. You can start November if you want. I just want to know that you're like committed to the KAL on October 1st. So yeah, so I'll be posting this video so everyone that didn't get a chance to log in today can watch it later and get all the info as well. If you have any other questions, please ask through the Ravelry thread, and I'll be glad to help out with material suggestions or needle size suggestions or your gauge or anything like that. Thank you, Karen. I hope you have a good weekend. Enjoy autumn while you can. Here in Calgary, we're at peak autumn season, so get out there and enjoy it. Still got plenty of time to get your materials by October 1st. And yeah, we'll see you guys then. And happy shopping. And I hope this video was helpful for everyone. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Maybe we'll have a cast on party and maybe I'll do another live. We'll see how it goes. All right. So have a good day, everyone. See you later. Bye.